Okay, well, Neighbourhood Networks is a voluntary organisation that got off the ground in Scotland in 2001. Basic idea is to work preventatively with people with a learning disability in local areas by employing a local person, what we call a community living worker who already lives in the area, and by trying to kind of release the power of mutual support amongst the people who live in that area.
And what do you do, Donna, in Neighbourhood Networks?
In Neighbourhood Networks, I'm a community living worker based in Springburn, and I live within that area. And it's normally based in 9 members at the moment. I have 6, but it's normally based in 9 members. And it's basically all working together and getting more involved in the community. The members become like family over time. I know that Springburn members are very close and look out for each other.
What do you think makes it more challenging for people, for adults, particularly with learning difficulties, to engage with the NHS?
I think for a lot of people there's an underlying fear there of what the health service represents, and lots of us might be frightened to go to the dentist, but we're not usually frightened to go to the doctor in the same sort of way. But I think for some people with learning disability, going to the doctor is sometimes associated with things that have happened in the past to them in a negative kind of way.
Right.
Some people have history of being institutionalised, some people have a history of being placed on medication that they didn't necessarily want or whatever, so it's not necessarily a neutral place to go if you have a learning disability. People bring a lot of baggage with them.
Are there other challenges that an adult with a learning disability faces in engaging with the NHS services?
Time. I think they would benefit from more time, the GPs or the nurses, than your normal 10 minutes with a GP or 15 minutes with a nurse.
Why do you feel that they would need more time?
Sometimes they don't quite take in, and they just need more explanation of what the GP is saying. Sometimes it can be quite hard for ourselves going into the GP and taking in exactly what they're saying. I've seen myself phoning down, to double check, is this right, should I have done this? Or, so I think that wee bit extra time makes all the difference to them.
Okay.
I think there's also something in the back of the mind for some people that perhaps I'm not afforded the same level of respect here as the ordinary person. Do people see me as being worth the treatment that my next door neighbour would get? Because of my disability, am I somehow seen as a waste?
Are there any more barriers that you think are important to mention?
The letters that are sent out for screening, obviously a lot of adults, it'll go straight in the bin. It's impossible for them to read it, and if they don't have support there to help them read it, it means nothing to them. So a phone call or whatever. But
I think that's an important thing to remember as well for health service professionals, is that very often there is a support person in that person's life who may not appear on the day of the appointment, but it's probably someone important to kind of try and communicate with as well at times, allowing for confidentiality and everything. But that communicating with that person can often be a huge bonus to the person who perhaps goes away from the appointment forgetting what they've been told or asked to do, or I don't know, not going to collect the prescription that they've been told to go and get.
So we started to talk there about some of the things that help us to overcome some of these barriers, and you've mentioned building up more of a personal relationship. Are there other things that you think are important for the people that are doing this course to know about?
I think it would help people to be generally more aware of how things work in the world of disability, or sometimes how things don't work. So a kind of awareness raising kind of inputs around this is what life is like. These are the kind of supports that may or may not be around for the person. These are the other systems that you might be able to tap into. Plus, I guess just trying to broaden people's understanding of disability, and even within learning disability, there's such a wide range of issues around, from people at one end of the spectrum with let's say with some kind of autism, through to the person with just a very mild intellectual impairment, but maybe been socialised in a different way and hasn't learned the same social skills as other people. And those two people at those ends of the spectrum will need kind of different ways of being related to.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it sounds like, in a way, you're almost suggesting that before going straight to the objective of, say, getting somebody in for a screening, that a wee bit of work's done to get to know them, build a relationship, find out what their understanding level is like, before actually getting to the point of saying, and we would like you to come for a screening.
Yeah.
We certainly work with some people for whom even just timekeeping, your screening appointment is 2:30 next Wednesday. Unless they've got support with remembering that their timekeeping may be all over the place. They may maybe turn up at 3:30, and how
Or turn up on the Friday instead of Wednesday.
And how receptive is the service to that? Do they say, "Oh, well, no, you should have been here on Wednesday," or do they say, "No, we at some level we understand that you didn't do this deliberately. That's just the way things are for you."
Sometimes when an appointment has been made for one of these, whether it be screening or just a general appointment, a note could be made to maybe give that person a wee phone in the morning, just to remind them, and how are you this morning? Are you still going to make it in to see the GP today? I'll see you when you come in, it's Donna again. It just makes all the difference.
Let's take the situation where somebody is being accompanied to a screening. What sort of advice would you give from the nurse's point of view in terms of engaging and communicating?
I think a golden rule there is that the professional person directs their communication to the person with the disability who's in for the screening. And there's nothing worse either for the person or for the person accompanying, that if you're placed in that does he take sugar kind of situation, and everything's directed at you, and you're having to push it back the way. So understanding that other person's there to support, not to kind of substitute for. I think it's important people take a bit more time than they might usually, maybe speak a bit more slowly, listen and wait for a response rather than think, well, maybe there isn't one coming to my question because maybe it's just been formulated and it's taken a wee bit longer. I think we know some people will be uncomfortable perhaps at first of having someone alongside them in the room, so they maybe have a family member or a support worker waiting outside, and you may reach the point in the appointment where, particularly towards the end, you're trying to establish what has been understood, when they will accept that person coming in to hear what's been said through the interaction. Just trying to remember at that point where you bring the third person in, that you don't put all your focus on them, and that you remember that the patient is the patient first and foremost.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.